What's this? UPS must have left it here. Let's see what it is. Oh, wow. Oh, let's see what we got here. What did they bring us? Looks like they brought me work, but that's okay. It's the right kind of work. Let's see. Oh. Looks like a control arm. But what car is that for? No, this is a Jetta. They don't have an upper, because that's definitely not a lower. Let's look. No, that's a brand new Mustang. We don't need no parts for it. Let's look at this one. Oh, look, guys. I found it. That's where they go. Well, let's tear into it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cobra Band. Today we're going to have fun in the truck. Well, actually, we're going to have fun working on the truck. Come join us. After some four-wheeling out on the property and having some fun, you only saw a little bit of it. I was out there spinning around doing all kinds of donuts and having some fun. But after a little bit of that, now it's time to get serious and do some work on the suspension. In previous videos, I've tried to address the noisy front end. As I drive it more and more, it's getting worse and worse, and I'm hearing it more and more. So we changed the dog bones, which a lot of people call those stabilizer links. They're the little links that connect the lower A-frame to the sway bar to help stabilize the front end. It's cold out here this morning. Shit, I told you it was cold. Whew, maybe I need a jacket. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the jack out here. And I'm going to jack up this and pull the wheel off. And I'm going to show you, yes you, exactly what I'm doing today. This tool, my nephew gave me, my nephew Caleb. I think he was guilty for me breaking so many tools trying to help him with some axle nuts. So he gave this to me. I think this is the one that he gave to me. I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but this lug nut stripped out, so I think I'm going to have to replace all these lug nuts. So that's interesting. I also want to show you this lug nut right here. Last time I had this tire off, I knew that these were going to be a problem. And what it looks like to me is it looks like somebody's put the wrong socket on here. You can see that over here it's the same way. They didn't quite get a socket all the way on there and start stripping. Always use the correct socket for the job, guys, especially when you're talking about the things that hold your wheels on. So I'm going to have to replace these. I can't put that back on because I probably will never get that back off. Let's move you a little closer to the action here. Okay, guys, so the nuts for the upper control arm here are 21 millimeter. Now, this one here on the right side, now we're doing the passenger side first. This one on the right side of the strut is easily got with a ratchet or breaker bar from this side here. Piece of cake. But the one on this side, I don't know if I can really show it to you, but there's what looks like some type of motor. So the nut has to be removed with a wrench, closed in wrench here, and that is a 21 as well. So we'll just use the old interlock wrenches here, and we'll just see if we can loosen this baby up. Alright, just so that we can get these off as easy as possible, I'm going to go ahead and spray some lubricant on the threads here. That'll drip down. And that way there it'll assist in the bolt coming off a little easier. So with a wrench on the inside, just like this, I'll start pulling off this nut off of this bolt. And I'm hoping that Ford did the right thing and allowed these bolts to come out without having to remove the strut, because at this current point in time, it seriously looks like this bolt might be held up by the spring on the strut. Cross my fingers. That lubricant's really making it easy. Alright, now that we got that loosened, now I got to move the bolt out to see if I have enough room. And if there's enough room on this side, chances are good that we got enough room on the other side as well. So that will really make things a lot easier for us. There. Oh, oh man, it's going to be close. But yep, it looks like I'm going to have to pull this strut tower out. Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Oh my goodness. Oh, no way. Did I just get lucky? I just got lucky, guys. On this one, that is. Look at that. Oh, oh my God. That's enough to make you go to church, man. Now, we're halfway there. Keep in mind, I've got the lower control arm supported by the jack. I've got a jack stand holding the truck up, and then I've got the jack holding up the A-frame, or the lower control arm, I should call it. And that's actually what's making all my noise, is the lower control arm, because I really can't do anything about that right now because I don't have the parts. Okay, I'm not going to take that nut all the way off because I got to get a pickle fork, or I might just pickle fork it since a new ball joint's going on. I might as well just pickle fork it. That's easier sometimes than getting the puller. Figured before I get too far into this, I better double check that this is the correct part, and it looks like it is the correct part. Loving it so far. It's been an easy job so far, guys. Something I just wanted to point out, over here on the right bolt, there's a wire and a wire loom that if you're not careful, you might compress and damage the wiring. So make sure that when you're using your wrench over here, you're not damaging that wire. And it looks like it's to the anti-lock brake sensor. So the pulse generator. Sounds sci-fi, huh? Pulse generator. Alright, I'm very confident that it will go in just the same. It just got caught up on the threads, so you just got to kind of maneuver it in there, and I think it'll be just fine. Now for the pickle fork. This is the fun part, guys. Now, just so that nobody yells at me in the comments, there is a proper tool, and I have one. It's a pitman arm ball joint removal tool, okay? And it clamps on the bottom, and you turn a bolt, and it pushes it through and pops it out. I would use that if I was like replacing the knuckle or pulling it off to do some work on the bearings or something. I would use that tool to save the bushing or the rubber boot, because once you start pounding on this, the boot is pretty much toast. There you go. That was actually easy. That came off a little too easy, but see that grease? I damaged that boot. As I'm getting this raceway off, I'm going to tell you a little story. When I bought this truck, there was no front end noise. I went over big bumps, little bumps, long bumps, short bumps, and I did not hear a single noise come out of this front end. After I bought the truck, I started noticing the noise, and then when I got up underneath here, I noticed that grease was all over this ball joint here. The bottom one, everything was just way over greased. And the reason why is because the shady used car salesman had all the ball joints overstuffed with grease to quiet it down, because he knew it was worn out. That, my friend, is what causes used car salesmen to get that rep that they're no good, cheating sons of bitches. And this one was. He's a nice guy, but this was definitely intentional. Maybe intentional by the person who sold it. Maybe. The grease just seemed like it was put in there to sell the vehicle. That's what it seemed like to me. Who knows though, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and get this off of here the rest of the way. There we go. Let's pull this off. These bushings look excellent. Check out. Oh, this ball joint is bad. This ball joint is bad. I could feel it clunking in there. So yes, the ball joint is bad. So it's a good thing that we're getting it swapped out. So I chose to use a Moog part because I'm a paranoid freak. This bushing, anybody that has greased up a ball joint knows that you should be able to fill the grease, and this just feels empty. So I'm going to pop off this little retainer ring here. Yeah, it's got some grease in it. Huh. Not really as much as I'd like to see in there, but there is grease. Alright, so install is, I'm going to scoot this back just a hair. Install is pretty much just the same but opposite. I'm going to try to clean off this surface so when it sits in there flush. Okay, clean out the hole. Anti-seize in these holes would be a good idea. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move this up in here first. Now I got full movement of these, I'm going to go ahead and put the bolts back in. Do the right one first. Whoops, I almost tried to put them in backwards. Okay, here's a little tip. I put this one in first because when I removed this one, it slid down a little bit and angled that bolt down. So now I angled it this way a little bit. That bolt went right in. Now I'll bring it back up so it fits through the other side. All right, guys, I want to show you this. Let me turn on some light on the subject. Okay. Right here, I want to show you, you have to keep the left side tilted down just enough to where you get the head of that bolt past the spring. And then you should be able to lift it up straight and get it all the rest of the way in. So that's how I had to do it to get it past this spring without pulling this out. These will eventually be replaced, but not right now, and I don't want to pull it out if I don't have to. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to replace the lower control arms on each side. All right, so we're going to work on getting that bolt in there. Once you get your control arm on, it's very important before you tighten up your bolts to get it to where it normally rides on the ground. Okay, so that's why I have my jack here. So I'm going to jack it up just enough to where I feel that it's even. That way when I tighten my bolts, it's going to pinch that bushing in alignment. Otherwise, if your suspension's down and you tighten up those bushing bolts, it's going to tighten up that center metal piece of that bushing. It's going to tighten it there, and then when you lower the car, it's going to twist that that rubber bushing into alignment, and that's going to cause premature failure on your rubber bushings. No, still need this wrench. Same wrench size all throughout. That's cool. Alright. Okay, we're spinning on here, so we're gonna have to get a little wrench, something to grab onto this here so we can hold the shaft still so we can tighten it up. On this Moog, the shaft is a 10 millimeter. That's how you hold the ball joint while you tighten it up. The upper control arm, probably one of the easiest upper control arms I've ever done, and it's on a Ford. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. I'm not going to record it because this pretty much shows you everything that needs to be done. But if there's anything on the passenger side that's different than this, I'll go ahead and break out the camera and record it so that you can see it as well. I'm going to have to go replace my lug nuts because those lug nuts will not work any longer on my truck. And anytime you have the tire off, this is a great time to inspect your brake pads, your rotors, and everything else that has to do with your suspension, because don't wait until you hear something. That something may cause other things to go wrong and cost you more money in the long run. So as soon as you hear something, get on it so you can solve it and stop it before it gets to be a big issue. So alrighty, that is going to wrap it up for this side and for this video, but stay tuned. Watch till the very end until my closing credits come up. There may be something on the other side that you want to know before you start to do this on your truck. This has been a great experience. I love my F-150. I can't wait to do those lower control arms to finish quietening it up. But I got to do it in steps, and you could probably understand why. Alrighty guys, well I'm back. I told you I would turn the camera back on if there's anything on the left side that I needed to do differently. And because of the position of the spring, I was not able to bring either one of these bolts out. I tried again, and I could not get them out. So I had to loosen up the top 3 bolts for the strut, and I had to remove this bolt. This was a real pain in the rear end. One side was a 30 millimeter, and the other one was just slightly smaller. And I got that out. Now I'm just about ready to get this fully out. This is really pinched in here. So it's been really hard to get out, but first off, I realized that my brake line is getting awfully tight here, and instead of causing more work, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can remove this bolt here and get a little bit more play. I know this is a metal line in here, so I can't bend it up too much. That would not be a good thing to do, but if I remove this, I should get a little bit more play, just enough to get this bottom strut out so I can finish getting those bolts out. I noticed that this one here is a much different boot than the other side. This looks like a replacement. It looks like a very aftermarket replacement. The ball joint doesn't feel bad. The bushings don't feel bad, but I have both sides, so I went ahead and changed it out. The lower control arm on this side looks much different than the other one. This lower control arm may have been replaced. So now that I got the knuckle so loose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with that ball joint to see if that ball joint is bad or not. I was able to test the tie rods. The inner and outer tie rod is beautiful on it, and that's what I found on the other side as well. So this here, believe it or not, is the hose for the 4-wheel drive. Alrighty guys, with that big strut out of the way, these bolts will come out simple. This is what I could have done on the other side, but I chose to do it the easy way. But either way, it gets the job done. So without the strut, then these bolts come out simple, and they'll go in just as simple. So, alright, well, I'm going to replace this piece, get the new piece up in there, and then we'll get the strut up in there, and I might pull the camera out and talk about it a little bit more. Okay guys, I don't know if this is a thing or not, but But you see this little hole right here? When I did the other side and I raised the suspension up to its riding height, that hole was right in the middle of that groove. And that is pretty much where the truck sits. So I don't know if that's a thing or not, but check yours before you pull your old one off. See if that groove is there and see if it lines up with that hole. That's going to help me because I'll be able to lock this in place here. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap it up for today. The 2013 F-150 XLT EcoBoost 3.6 dual turbocharged. It's a hell of a truck. Thank you for watching, guys. Stay safe, stay free, keep wrenching. Catch you on the next one.